Hi guys. Well, it's getting to that time of year. It's getting hot, at least here, 108 degrees today. And it's time to start thinking about some of those summer salads. So I'm going to demonstrate one for you tonight. It's called an Orzo salad with tomatoes, green onions, and feta cheese. It's a recipe from my friend Danielle. Had it at a party. It is just awesome. So let's get going. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the vinaigrette dressing. Okay, that's going to go on top of it. And all it is a cup of olive oil. And you want to use good olive oil. Don't buy the cheap stuff. Half a cup of red wine vinegar. And a tablespoon of honey. You wouldn't want to witness that. The bear won. Kind of a little bit of a fight with the honey. So that's going to go in the vinaigrette as well. And then we're going to use a couple tablespoons of lemon juice. And when a recipe calls for lemon juice, you want to use a real lemon, the kind in the green jar. Not so good. And sometimes if you have lemons, like we grow lemons on our tree outside, so sometimes if they're a little bit harder or you want to get a lot of juice out of them, if you roll them on the counter, it kind of loosens it up a little bit and you get more juice out of it. So we're just going to cut that in half. And all we want is 2 tablespoons. And usually when you measure things, you want to measure them in separate containers, not over your ingredients, because if you put too much, it's easier to add than take away. Believe me when I tell you, especially when you're using salt and baking soda or anything like that when you're baking. If you measure right over your bowl and you put it in, it's kind of hard to fix that up later on. So there's about 2 tablespoons there. Okay? And then we're just going to whisk it together. So you just want to take a whisk and whisk this vinaigrette together. And then we're going to put it in the fridge for a little bit. And then we'll show you the next step. And you could also throw some other things in here. A little bit of garlic. Whatever you'd like. Okay, so that's good. So we put our vinaigrette in the refrigerator. The next thing you want to do is you want to cook your orzo. Now orzo is a type of macaroni. It's like a pasta. Sort of looks like big pieces of rice before they're cooked. You want to cook this in chicken broth, okay? So I use the free-range chicken broth. You could use whatever kind of chicken broth you want. If you're a vegetarian and you want to use vegetable broth, go for it. Probably has, just as good, if not better flavor. You're going to use about 6 cups of this. You're going to bring your chicken broth to a boil, okay? Then you're going to put your orzo in, give it a stir, put the lid on, turn it down to medium, have your lid half so it could release some air. And you want to cook it for, I want to say about 6 minutes. But I'm not going to tell you exactly because everybody's stove's different. I have gas, people have electric, it's all different. You want to stir it, you want to keep an eye on it, you want to boil it until it's not mushy, just tender. So keep trying it. And when it's still tender, because you're going to put this into a salad with vinegar and other things that'll kind of break that down a little bit. So you just want it a little bit on the tough side. Okay? So after you cook your orzo, you're going to drain it. You're going to drain that chicken broth off, okay? And you really want to drain it really well. And then you're going to put it in a bowl. And as it's cooling, you want to keep on stirring it so it doesn't get all sticky and mushed together, okay? So here's my orzo, and it's a pound of orzo. So there's that. You're going to take green onions, and there's a cup of green onions. So here's a green onion, okay? You're always going to cut off, after you wash it, you're always going to cut off the end. So here's basically your green onion and here's your chives. It's up to you. I use the whole thing. Sometimes you just use chives in a recipe. Sometimes you just use the green onion side in the recipe. It's up to you. I use the whole thing. Okay. So I cut up a cup of those. So they're going to go in there. Okay. And then I use these little tiny tomatoes. These are these little pearl tomatoes, or what else do we want to call them? Teardrop, grape, there's all different names for them. These are those little tomatoes. They also come yellow. There's yellow ones and orange ones too. Those are really good. I just couldn't find them in the grocery store. So I took 2 cups of those and just cut them in half, okay? And those are going to go in. And if you have a garden, this is a perfect recipe for you. Then there's basil, okay? So when you're cutting basil, I usually have a small plant that I use. A lot of people have it in their garden. I don't garden here because I live in the desert. Anyway, or I just can't garden here. So take your basil, and there's a couple different ways to do it. You could chop it with shears, okay, which is the easy way. Or you could always roll it up. So if you roll it up and then just chop it that way, get the stems out of there, and just chop it that way, you could get a pretty good chop, a pretty good cut, but you want it to be pretty fine because you get a big bite of basil. Not so great, okay? And that's gonna go in there. There's a cup of basil. One thing that I really love about this recipe, and you could put chicken in there, you could put all kinds of stuff in there, but this just keeps it plain, so if you're going to a picnic or something like that and there's other, you know, burgers or whatever, it's just a nice salad, and it's light, and it's good for a few days. The other thing, the other ingredient in this is pine nuts, okay, and they give it a wonderful flavor. So they're very expensive. I think in the store that I bought them today, they're $19.99 a pound. I know. Anyway, I bought half a cup, so it was like $3. So what you do is just take them, put them on a pan, and roast them in the oven at 350 for, I don't know, 10 minutes. No more than that. You just want them to look brown and crispy, but don't forget about them, because they will burn very quickly. Okay, so these are gonna go in there, and those are just, they're yummy. A lot of times around the holidays, you could find them really inexpensive because a lot of people use them for a lot of different cookies. So a lot of times you could find, you know, pretty inexpensive around Christmas and things like that, or at least here, because a lot of people make the different cookies. Okay, so after you have these things together, you have your orzo, you have your tomatoes, your basil, your pine nuts, and your green onions. You're going to put your dressing on it. Okay, so you're just going to pour that over the top. Give it a little stir first. Pour that over the top. And just kind of mix it all together. Oh my, is this yummy. And it's just such a pretty salad. And like I said before, if you get those tomatoes, the little orange ones and yellow ones, they're just wonderful. I could see some peppers in here would be awesome, even some cucumbers. You could do all kinds of stuff here. And it's just a nice light salad. I would use a little bit of salt and pepper, okay? And also the last thing that you're gonna put in is feta cheese, okay? And there's a couple different ways with feta cheese. You could buy a block of it and you could cut it up in cubes, or you could buy it already crumbled, which is what I usually do, okay? And it calls for a cup of feta cheese. So that'll give or take a little bit. Is that it? I'd probably add a little bit more. Okay, give it a little taste. I think I would put a little bit of, we're going to put some salt and pepper in this after we taste it. And that's another thing, when you're making anything, taste it first before you go and season it. Because like I said before, it's easier to add than take away. So we'll give it a taste. This is served at room temperature. Very good. But it does need a little bit of pepper. I'm not going to say that it needs salt. The feta cheese is salty, so be careful. But we'll just put some black pepper on there. Give it another little stir. Now after, you're going to serve it at room temperature. After you're done with it, put it in a container in the fridge, and awesome tomorrow. I ate it for 2 days for lunch. So this is what it looks like. It's a beautiful salad. It's excellent, and I hope you enjoy it. So until next time, we'll see ya.